My parents forced me to lose weight for my sister's wedding, but after my transformation, they couldn't handle the attention I received. Since childhood, I was always the bigger kid. Even in kindergarten, before anyone else knew what made them stand out, my size had already marked me as different. As the years passed, that difference became impossible to ignore. By high school, I was clearly overweight, and my body was a constant reminder that I didn't fit in. College wasn't much better. While others experimented with new identities, I remained trapped in the one that had been assigned to me long ago, the overweight kid. I wrestled with it, but I couldn't escape it. Being the bigger child wasn't just difficult. It left me wide open to cruelty. I was bullied more than I can even count. Classmates mocked me endlessly, turning me into the punchline of their jokes. The names they called me sunk deep, planting doubts that never seemed to go away. I was excluded from games, parties, and outings. I wasn't just on the sidelines. It felt like I was invisible, living childhood and adolescence from behind glass, watching everyone else have the experiences I was denied. Those years shaped how I saw myself. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, so I turned to books. Stories became my escape, a safe world where I wasn't ridiculed or judged. Over time, that love for books became my identity too, though being branded the nerd wasn't a title I enjoyed. My younger sister, Bonnie, was the complete opposite. Just a year younger, she carried an easy charm that drew people to her without effort. Where I was shy, she was outgoing. Where I felt invisible, she commanded the room. People adored her. She could walk in, crack a smile, and instantly, everyone wanted to be around her. Making friends seemed effortless for her, and she had a way of persuading people to be on her side, like she was the center of their world. Despite our differences, I adored Bonnie. As her older sister, I felt protective and proud when she joined me in high school. At first, I loved the feeling of being her big sister. But soon, things changed. Once she got comfortable in her new environment, Bonnie started noticing the differences between us and how others treated us. She thrived in popularity while I stayed in my quiet corner. Slowly, she began distancing herself, and eventually, she acted embarrassed to be around me. That was painful enough, but it didn't stop there. Eventually, she joined in with the very same students who tormented me. She and her new friends mocked me in the hallways, laughed at me during lunch, and sometimes even tried to trip me just to make everyone laugh. At home, it didn't stop. When Bonnie had friends over, they would burst into my room, laugh at me, and throw insults like fatty and geek around like it was nothing. I felt like a sideshow, something for them to mock for entertainment. I tried to turn to my parents, hoping they'd see how painful this was for me. Instead, they brushed it off every single time. They said Bonnie was just playing and insisted I was being too sensitive. They told me to lighten up, to be more patient, to stop taking things so seriously. In their eyes, it was all harmless sibling teasing. In mine, it was years of bullying, from strangers, peers, and even my own sister, with no one willing to listen. It often left me feeling alone, as though no one in my family truly grasped how deeply those moments hurt. The only times I ever felt genuinely seen by my parents were when my grades came in. Schoolwork had always come naturally to me, and I consistently earned high marks. In a way, it became the one space where I felt above the rest, and, more importantly, the only way I could make my parents proud. They relished telling friends and relatives about my academic successes, parading me as the family's scholar, as though my report cards were proof of their excellent parenting. But my sister Bonnie hated the comparisons. She wasn't academically inclined, nor did she care to be, yet the constant reminders of my achievements made her resentful, since they were used as the standard she was expected to meet. I could always sense her irritation, which is probably why she did what she did. When we were younger, Bonnie would sometimes sabotage my work. She'd slip into my room late at night, usually right before a major assignment was due, and take my finished homework. The next morning, I'd wake in a panic, frantically tearing through my books, papers, and folders, only to see her standing at the doorway with a smug grin, savoring my anxiety. For her, it was a small triumph, a way to knock me down and remind me I wasn't untouchable. She knew how much my grades meant to me and how tightly my self-worth was tied to them, and she enjoyed upsetting that balance. I only learned years later when she drunkenly confessed that she had in fact stolen many of my assignments. Although our relationship has mellowed with age, we never formed the closeness many siblings share. After graduation, I moved away to a new city, built a career, and created a life for myself. Contact with my family dwindled to the occasional phone call or message. So when I planned a summer trip home last year, I was genuinely excited. It had been ages since we'd all been together, and I looked forward to reconnecting. At first, our family lunch felt warm and familiar, until Bonnie suddenly announced her engagement. None of us expected it. At first, we thought she was joking, but then she held out her hand, proudly displaying a stunning ring. I congratulated her sincerely, happy she had found someone who loved her. But soon after the congratulations, she turned to me with a sly smile and asked about my life. I began sharing how fulfilling my career had been and how much I enjoyed my independence when she cut me off. "I can't help but say this," she said, still smirking, "but why are you still fat? If your life is really that great, shouldn't you have lost the weight by now?" Her words struck me like a slap, dragging up insecurities I thought I had left behind. The room fell to silence, and I could feel everyone's eyes on me, waiting for my response. I forced a shrug and tried to laugh it off, but my parents quickly joined in, criticizing me for being overweight, unmarried, and childless. Hearing them speak like that was humiliating. The life I had worked so hard to build, the successes I was proud of, meant nothing to them. All they saw was what I lacked in their eyes: a spouse, children, and a slimmer figure. They turned their praise to Bonnie, celebrating her engagement and making it clear they considered her the more accomplished daughter. What should have been a joyful reunion soon became a painful reminder of old wounds. I felt like an outsider, once again the overlooked child. Bonnie didn't stop there. She pressed further, mocking me about my love life. "So when are you getting married? Do you even have a boyfriend?" she asked, making a spectacle of me in front of everyone. My parents echoed her, insisting it was time I settled down, pointing out how Bonnie, being younger, was moving ahead of me in life, while I was wasting mine on work. I tried to explain that I loved the life I had, that my career gave me fulfillment and stability, and that I didn't need marriage or children to be happy. But my words didn't seem to sink in. My mother gave me a cold look and said sharply, "What's the point of earning all that money if you don't have anyone to come home to?" It was as though she couldn't imagine happiness existing outside of marriage and family. Sitting there, I felt utterly misunderstood. These were the people who should have known me best, yet they dismissed my choices entirely. I had come home seeking love and connection, only to face scorn and mockery. Bonnie gave one final jab, grinning as she added, "Well, at least bring a +1 to my wedding." She chuckled, fully aware of the sting her words carried.
I couldn't afford to waste too much energy on my parents' choices. I was too busy preparing for my wedding. Thankfully, my in-laws were incredibly supportive, helping with everything from table layouts to flower arrangements. Even at the lovely bridal shower hosted by my husband's sister, no one ever mentioned the glaring absence of my own family. Despite that, the wedding itself was beautiful. We held a garden ceremony in the morning, followed by a relaxed afternoon celebration. Everyone commented on how happy and in love we looked. But even with all the joy, there were moments when my parents' absence hit me hard, like when I noticed the empty seats in the front row, or when I couldn't take part in the father-daughter dance. After the honeymoon, I tried to get answers. When I finally reached my parents by phone, my mother launched into a long tirade. She accused me of being careless, claimed she had always dreamed of helping plan her daughter's weddings, and couldn't understand why I had excluded them from such a milestone. I was completely baffled. We had definitely sent them both digital and printed invitations. I even double-checked our records. The mail delivery had been confirmed. I didn't challenge them about trying to gaslight me. Instead, I apologized politely for the mistake and ended the call. Later, my husband admitted he had noticed a pattern long before. how they looked shocked rather than happy when we announced our engagement, or how they constantly made excuses to avoid being involved in planning. He hadn't told me earlier, not wanting to add stress, but looking back, the pattern was undeniable. It was clear the real issue was that I, the less successful daughter, got married before their golden child, Mullen. Deep down, I'd always suspected it, but their behavior during the wedding proved it. Even my marriage, which should have been about love and new beginnings, turned into another battle in their ongoing campaign to keep Mullen at the center of their perfect family image. Now Mullen is engaged after only a year of dating, and my parents are ecstatic. They're already boasting to relatives about high-end venues, designer gowns, and private fittings, all the mother-daughter moments I was denied. But this time, many relatives are openly refusing to attend her engagement party or wedding. Apparently, my parents' absence from mine has become a family talking point. When relatives ask me why my parents weren't at my wedding, I simply tell them the truth. They couldn't handle me marrying before Mullen. I don't exaggerate or try to gain sympathy, I just state the facts as I see them. My parents, however, now accuse me of deliberately sabotaging Mullen's wedding. They claim relatives are avoiding the events because I've been spreading lies out of jealousy. But in reality, people are reacting to how my parents treated me. As I've told them, if the truth makes them look bad, maybe they should reflect on their own actions instead of blaming me. Maintaining even the appearance of a relationship with them is becoming harder. Their choice to skip my wedding made me confront a painful truth. No matter what I did, I would never be enough for them. The hardest part isn't their absence anymore. It's realizing I never had the warm, supportive parents I always longed for. Right now, I'm focusing on building a life with someone who truly values me, but I'll keep sharing updates as things change. First update, 2 weeks later. Much has happened since my last post. I decided it was time to confront my parents directly about both their absence at my wedding and their accusations that I ruined Mullen's big day. Reading so many encouraging messages gave me the courage to finally speak up. When we talked, they immediately started making accusations again that I was jealous of Mullen and had orchestrated everything. For the first time ever, I didn't defend myself. Instead, I agreed with them, but not in the way they expected. I told them, "You're right, I am jealous. Not of Mullen's career, her looks, or her achievements. I'm jealous of the unconditional love and support you've always given her, the kind you never once tried to give me." There was silence on the line. Then my mother snapped back, insisting I was exaggerating and that they had treated us both equally. Something inside me broke. Years of buried feelings came rushing out. I told them about every forgotten birthday, every time one of Mullen's accomplishments overshadowed mine. I reminded my mother of how she canceled my high school graduation dinner because Mullen had a modeling callback, and how Mullen's prom dress cost more than all my college textbooks for an entire year.
I could feel the anger rising in me, the arrogance of suggesting I needed surgery to look good, when in reality, I had worked so hard for my current look was unbelievable. I met Bonnie's eyes and said firmly, "Wow, Bonnie, it's amazing you think so little of me. No surgery, just a lot of effort and self-respect. Maybe that's something you should try sometime." Her expression shifted from shock to irritation, but I didn't care. It felt incredible to finally speak up and put her in her place. Before Bonnie could answer, my parents rushed in, trying to smooth things over in their usual way. "You shouldn't take offense," my mom said. "It's just, we've never seen you look like this before. Honestly, you look even prettier now than Bonnie, and she's the bride." That remark made Bonnie's face turn red with fury. I ignored her and focused on my plate, letting her stew in silence. Then my mother added, I was thinking, maybe you should go back to your natural hair color. You'd look even better with your original shade. This blonde look makes you stand out too much. Maybe just return to your old style. Bonnie and my dad quickly agreed. Dad chimed in. Bonnie has always been the blonde daughter, and you were the brunette. It would be better if you went back to that. It suits you more. I froze. It suddenly felt like all three of them were teaming up against me, trying to pull me down. My stylist had suggested the blonde shade because it suited my skin tone and complexion. It had nothing to do with overshadowing my sister. Yes, Bonnie was jealous, but why were my parents acting like this too? It was as if they couldn't stand to see me happy with myself. Instead of appreciating how far I'd come, they wanted to drag me back into the old version of me. Frustrated, I finally asked, "What's your problem? Why can't I be blonde too? Does my sister own the color or something?" "No, she doesn't. I can be blonde or brunette. It's my decision. Why does it matter so much to you?" My mother scoffed. "You're just trying to undermine Bonnie's wedding by drawing attention to yourself." Bonnie snapped. "With your weight loss, you're already going to stand out. Do you really need to take my hair color too?" And of course, my father backed them up. "You're just being difficult. As her sister, you should be more considerate." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't about stealing anything. It was about living in a way that made me happy. But instead of supporting me, they were more concerned about Bonnie's comfort. "You know what? I'm done," I muttered, my voice burning with anger. "You're all so wrapped up in your negativity, you can't even accept that I've changed. The truth is, I've always been amazing, but you never saw it. And even now, after I've worked hard and lost weight, it's still not enough for you. Nothing I do ever will be." They just stared at me. I didn't care. I was finished holding back. "Since you love dishing out unsolicited advice, maybe it's time I give some back." I turned to my mother first. "Mom, I hate how loose the skin is around your eyes and your lips. One side droops when you laugh. Not to mention your crooked teeth. It's honestly disgusting." I gave her a second to absorb it before turning to my dad. "Dad, you're bald. You really have no right to judge anyone's hair color. How can you criticize looks when you can't even keep your own hair?" His face tightened, but I wasn't done. Finally, I faced Bonnie. "And you? Don't you ever talk down to me again. Between us, I've always been the better looking one, and now that I've lost the weight, you look even heavier than I do. Just look at those arms, Bonnie." Her cheeks turned crimson and she looked like she might burst into tears. I lifted my glass, finished my drink in one go, and walked out with a smirk, leaving them stunned in silence. I couldn't believe I had said all that, but I didn't regret a single word. After years of their criticism, they finally got a taste of their own medicine. After that lunch, I flew straight back home. I refused to stay for Bonnie's wedding. Since then, my phone has been full of missed calls and messages from them, calling me disrespectful and cruel for what I said and for walking out. My mom even insisted I come back for the wedding because it would look bad to her in-laws if I didn't show up. I ignored them. I skipped Bonnie's wedding. Instead, I treated myself to a spontaneous getaway at a 5-star resort. Best decision I've made in ages. I spent the weekend pampering myself, spa treatments, binge watching my favorite shows, exploring places I'd always wanted to see. No family drama, no pressure, just peace. I've also blocked their numbers. I'm tired of being their punching bag. My only focus now is on my own happiness and self-care.